Welcome to another episode of the Waffle Shop podcast. Today, I'm joined by the incredible entrepreneur, TV host, all-round legend, Paul C Brunson. Welcome to the Waffle Shop.
Hey, what's up, man? I love all around legend. I've never been told that before. I love that. All
I
around
like to
legend.
hype my guests up, my special guests, before we get into this.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's an honor to be here with you, and I look forward to a great conversation.
I appreciate that. So, before we launch into this, you mentioned just before we started about your name. You said there was something interesting about Carrick. I'm kind of really intrigued now. So,
Yeah,
start
yeah.
waffling,
Yeah.
Paul.
So let me Paul, is it Paul C or Paul Carrick? Right. So this is really cool because I've never talked about this on anything that I've done in the UK. So this is pretty cool.
Exclusive.
Yeah, this is an exclusive. Definitely, definitely. So about 11 years ago was when I got into TV, and it was, a blessing, but when I got into TV, I got a manager immediately. And the manager immediately went online and Googled my name, right? And it was like, hey, you
Yeah.
need to reserve Paul Brunson. So we researched Paul Brunson, and I was living in Washington, D.C. And it turns out that in what we call it the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, the DMV area.
Okay.
Within the DMV, there was another Paul Brunson. Not only was he Paul Brunson, he was Paul C Brunson.
Oh.
So he got top rank on Google than me, right? Because he was notorious. Now, what was he notorious for?
Yeah, I feel like my heart's pounding a little bit here.
He was a notorious coke dealer. He was this
Oh,
massive drug
wow.
dealer, yeah, in the area, and he had been locked up. So if you put in Paul Brunson, so my manager was like, "Oh no, this is crazy!" An agent's gonna put in Paul Brunson and see that you're 15 years behind bars, blah blah blah. So we decided, okay, what's the middle name? Well, it's Carrick, and I hated that middle name,
Yeah.
but I was like, all right, let me go with it. My parents gave it to me, so we did everything Paul Carrick Brunson until we overcame him in Google. Then we just dropped it back to the Paul C. So that's why that's pretty cool that you call me Paul Carrick Brunson. Brought back memories.
I feel really bad now because I was actually hoping to be sat here with a drug dealer. So I'm very sorry to anyone who was expecting anything different.
You didn't want me, you wanted him. Okay.
Oh, this is embarrassing. I'm joking. You're the best around. You're the best Paul C Brunson. Go with.
Thank you.
There is so much I kind of want to cover in such a small period of time with yourself, but there's a part of what you do that really sticks out to me, and it's stuff I've been on my own kind of like, not even like mental health journey, but like my personal development and personal growth. And obviously you've dedicated a huge part of your life to personal development and helping so many others be the person that they're born to be. What started that journey for you? Like, what kickstarted and think, like, do you know what, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I mean, just living in the storm, man. We were talking about it a little bit before, but it's the way that I look at it is all of us as humans, we're either living through storm and turmoil and feeling like we're losing hope, right? Or we're basking in the sun, and we have energy and warmth and comfort and elevation. That's the yin and yang of life. Like literally, if you're, Taoism,
Yeah.
that's what that is. But that's what makes life beautiful, because if you are in the storm, the light is coming. You know what I mean? It's
They
coming.
don't last forever.
Exactly. And that's why when you're in the light, you need to appreciate it, right? Not a lot of us appreciate the good times, appreciate just like, hey, I'm talking to my man Taylor right now. This is good. You know what I mean? I'm warm, I just had something to eat. Like, this is a blessing right now. I only know that because I know what it's like to live through the storm. You know what I mean? So growing up, I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, not the greatest place in the world, moved to Long Island, Massapequa, which at that time was not the greatest place in the world. seen crazy things happen. I've seen, before I was 18, my best friend died. Then shortly after that, another best
Wow.
friend died. It's like one of these where I know what the storm is.
Yeah.
So therefore, I appreciate the light, and I appreciate, and by going through the storm, I could look at somebody and see if they're feeling that pain. And I know, okay, the light is coming. So let me figure out how to help you get there, because it's a much better place, right? So it's just kind of, maybe it was more innate in me, but I think it came through just going through so much, pain.
It's quite powerful though, isn't it? Because it's very similar, especially now taking that, like, not to kind of take over your story there, because thank you for sharing it, but with the podcast, like, this wouldn't have started without all that kind of pain, that kind of like trauma, and now I'm sat here like a completely different person, very similar to that. Like, I know what it's like to struggle. I know, like, I've seen all this kind of pain, and now turning it into like a real, like, passion project. So and it's weird because before all this happened, it was very much like I didn't know what any of this meant. Like, I literally just like winged it. So I'm so grateful to be able to have these kind of conversations with people who, you're from the opposite side of the world to me, but like, just go through what you did to then turn it into like not only a passion project for yourself, but the amount of people that you must have helped over the years is, and the lives that you must have changed, it must be an like insanely proud feeling.
Oh, definitely. Like, think about this. This is really deep if you think about it. You and I are connected through our pain. Like, think about
Yeah.
that. That's really deep. Like, so then you look at it and say, okay, so then having pain, is that a loss? And how I look at it is, you get an L every time you have pain, but you decide what L that is. Is it a loss or is it a lesson? Right? It's always going
That's
to be an
good.
L. Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you, thank you. Right. All right. Remember, when you tweet that, put my name behind it,
Oh, well.
somebody. You know what I mean?
Notorious
But
drug dealer.
notorious PCB. But it's always, but you decide on that, right? You and I, Taylor, we've decided that it's going to be a lesson. And as a result of the lesson, you created this, phenomenal podcast. As a result of my lessons, what I've done is I've said, okay, when I show up on TV or wherever, I'm going to show up authentically, and I'm
Yeah.
going to give my full self, right? And so we have connected through our pain.
I would literally could have I'm lost in that, what you just said. It's so simple, but actually it's like so powerful. And I'd never actually thought about that, like with any of my guests. So again, it's just an added layer. Like, thank you for that.
You're welcome. I learned that from the other Paul, you know that, because he's been through a lot of
Bless
pain, man.
him.
I think he's still locked up, to be honest with you. I think he's
I know, no,
shout
he
out to
is.
Paul C Brunson.
Yeah, but he's not returning my letters anymore. So that's
Oh man.
it's a little bit rude. Um, I want to talk about, again, like, kind of on the personal development side of things. You help a lot of people when it comes to like confidence, whether it's like their business work, whether it's, obviously you're quite well known now for helping a lot of influential people try and find love on Celebs Go Dating. How important is it for you to have those connections with people to help you grow?
Yeah, it's everything. And for me, it's constantly trying to connect with new types of people,
Yeah.
right? So that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm here in the UK right now, is because I had spent almost 10 years in my career in the US connecting with people throughout the US. And quite honestly, I thought, okay, if I'm going to continue to grow, because in life, it's interesting. I feel like we have to live like a shark lives. A shark
Okay.
needs to move quickly, and it's constantly going left to right, up and down. Why? Because the gills are sucking the oxygen out of the water.
Yeah.
So if a shark stops and is stagnated for a long period of time, it will die, right? Because it's no longer
Oh, wow.
pulling in oxygen. I feel like as human beings, we need to constantly be moving. And it doesn't mean that we physically need to be moving, but it means that we have to continually be challenging ourselves. And I felt like I was just in this almost hamster wheel, in the States and doing the same thing over and over. So part of me wanting to come here was, okay, this is a whole new group. This is a whole new culture that I'm going to have to get to know and understand. Like, man, Taylor, when I got here, if you lived north of like Manchester, I couldn't even understand the accent.
I've lived here all my life and I can't, so I'm
like, say that again? What? I don't understand, right? Also like the whole, like all the terminology from Essex, and I was like, what? What? Like what? So all of these cultures, London is its own country, basically, but all of that was new and exciting to me. And to have to diagnose issues was exciting to me. But here's the most beautiful thing is, even though the experiences are different, the pain is the same. And the antidote, like the way out of it, is the same.
It's like really powerful, and it's something that I've come to learn throughout the podcast is it doesn't matter kind of what walk of life you are from, or where you are from in the world, or how much money you've got in the bank. We're all feeling these emotions, whether they're happy, sadness, even like anxiety.
Yes.
And there's something quite beautiful in that. Obviously, it's not beautiful that people go through like the struggles and stuff like that, but the fact, and I think this is one of the things that the pandemic has taught me as well, that this whole situation has just stripped all that away. And for the first time well, it's not even the first time, and I know there's so many different like layers to this, so I don't mean to sound a little bit ignorant, but we're all kind of like on a bit of an equal playing field with status. Obviously, I know there's so many different layers with like race and lost where I was going with that then.
Well, actually, let me. I'll say this, because this is where you and I definitely agree. This is the first time in modern history that we're all going through this level of turmoil at the same time around the world.
That's what I was trying to say. You just articulated it so much better than me.
See, we're there though, right? I'm telling you, we're right there. This is, this is the first time in modern history, that is. And so because of that, we can all now empathize and sympathize with each other, right?
Yes.
So I think that makes this moment special as a result of that.
Do you know what? You might just like hand the reins over to you. Do my job for me. Thanks.
Nah, you're doing a phenomenal job. By the way, for everyone just listening and not watching, that is the Waffle shop, like in the back. Can I say this is when you guys reached out, the very first thing that I thought was that we were going to eat waffles while we talked.
Never say never, Paul.
Do you have a
never
waffle?
Say never.
Do you have a waffle?
I have a waffle maker.
Okay.
But I use it to make like paninis. So a little bit crap when it comes to this, but I do have to explain this quite a lot. Especially I had Robert Call on from Call and the Gang, and for a good 20 minutes I had to explain we're not talking about food. There's not many people in the world that can say that. So I'm very proud of that moment. It was quite frustrating.
I could imagine. Because you just want to, and I don't want us to turn into just a whole food conversation, but can I just say, waffles are my favorite though. Oh my gosh. Well, wow. All right, I got to put this out. Have you, wait, hold on. Have you been to the States yet?
I've been before, but obviously by the time this goes out, I will be there. So it'll be my first time being there kind of long term in that kind of culture. So it's quite interesting that you're saying you came over here and obviously that UK is a different culture. I was actually going to ask you, have you got any advice? Because I'm petrified. But we'll go back to the waffles. Go back to the waffles first.
We can connect it all, because the first thing you need to do is, so are you going to California?
New York.
Okay, just New York.
Just New York for now.
Okay. All right.
Never say never.
You know what? No worries. I still got you. So the reason why I say California is because there is a restaurant in California, in LA, super famous, and they're famous for their chicken and waffles. It's called Roscoe's.
Oh, okay.
Roscoe's chicken and waffle. Like, it is notorious. It is, oh my God, it's incredible. So now what's happened is a lot of restaurants on the East Coast, like Atlanta, but also in New York, they will serve, basically chicken and waffles. And I've even seen
Yeah.
here where, I've ordered chicken and waffles here, but it's not like,
It's not the same.
It's not the same. So the first thing you do is, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in New York, do as an American, order chicken and waffles.
I'm gonna do it, and Joe, I'm gonna tag you in it. And if it's rubbish, I'm not gonna be happy.
No, I'm telling you that you will, man, the food is incredible. The vibe is incredible. I was born in New York.
Amazing.
And yeah, born in New York. Where in New York will you be?
So I will be staying in downtown Manhattan, financial district.
Okay. Why are you staying there?
So that's where I'll be working. So I've kind of took this little waffle from Coventry, kind of made friends through the power, the same way I did, like connected and with a top psychiatrist in New York, became friends, and he was like, do you want a job? So now I'm kind of going over to host and produce like a brand new mental health podcast for the practice over there.
Wow.
So yeah, I've gone from waffle in Coventry to waffle in just off Wall Street.
Oh man, congrats, man. Look at that. To even connect, like, full circle in the conversation, your pain, right? The pain allowed you to create this format, this platform,
Yeah.
right? And then through your pain, you're helping, who knows, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, right? Through the podcast. And now it's allowed you to move to New York, right? But my only question is why are you going to live in the financial district? Nobody lives there. Why
I don't know. I mean, I don't think long term. I mean, I've got to get there. I've got to like experience it all. Like, if you've got any recommendations of where I should be, then
don't live. It is, everything dies like right after work. The financial district. No one really lives.
Really?
Yeah, there.
Yeah, no, I don't want that.
But so I still have an apartment in Midtown, which is not as far, like down as the financial district.
Yeah.
But at least in that area, things are popping. You know what I mean? At night, you can still, do some things. So I would say, that's like Empire State Building ish,
Ooh, okay.
area. But Taylor, just looking at you, looking at the, the beard, the cut, the vibe that I'm getting from you, you seem to be more of like a Brooklyn type guy to me.
Okay.
You think?
It's really funny. The first thing I did when I found out like I don't have to kind of isolate for as long as I thought I had to when I get there, and I started looking at things to do, and the first thing that I'm going to is like a rooftop party in Brooklyn. So
yes, that's the
you're
move.
right.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Brooklyn. I guarantee you, if you end up staying in the U.S., you will most likely move to Brooklyn. Brooklyn is one of the hottest areas in the world right now. It's just incredible.
Joe, I'm listening to this back and just write it all down.
Yeah, you will. I mean, the food is amazing all throughout New York. New York is similar to London in that it's not. You can't go to New York and think that New York represents the United States, just as you can't think London represents, the UK. But New York is phenomenal because it's so diverse in its nationalities. And it's different from London. It's interesting. In London, there seems to be like a strong European contingency. There's, a strong like West African, Caribbean contingency.
Yes. Yeah.
In the US, you get those same vibes, but you have much larger, South American, Puerto Rican, Dominican Republic. Like it's more of those nations that are closer to the US, that you see more in New York. So it'll be a totally different experience for you.
I'm so excited just to kind of just experience different things, and which is actually it quite nicely leads on to what I wanted to ask you, because there seems to be this ongoing conversation at the minute with people kind of outgrowing situations, like kind of getting out of their comfort zones. And I feel like the pandemic has allowed a lot of people to either process like what a lot of trauma or whatever it might be, and kind of get to a stage where they're really understanding what makes them happy, who makes them happy. And it's one of the questions that keeps going over and over in my head, that obviously going over there, it's a whole new kettle of fish. It's different cultures, everything is going to be, quite different. You're the expert when it comes to like matchmaking, making connections. Like, how do you make friends as like a 30-year-old?
Yeah, great question. And I'll tell you why I think that's such a great question is because as we get older, our social circles shrink.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, and this is really sad when you think about it, but you think about, maybe a grandparent or great grandparent or someone who's older in your family, and you realize that, when people get into, their 80s or their 90s, they literally may have no friends
Yeah.
or no one that they have full conversations with on a day to day. And as a result, what happens is everything then slows down. The mind slows down, the body
Yeah.
slows down, and that literally leads to death, which is why one of the biggest things that people advocate for the elderly is social stimulation, right? So you think, okay, if you're advocating for social stimulation in your 90s, is it important in your 30s? Hell yeah.
Of
Like
course
it's
it is.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, it's arguably even more important, right? So you want to constantly be looking at how can you expand your social circle, right? One of the reasons why I moved to the UK, have a whole new set of friends here, which is really dope. So how do you do it? A couple things. One is check in with where your values are. Like what do you really value? Is it like actually Taylor, let me ask you, what do you value? What do
No,
you
this is
what
my
is
show, Paul. You have your own podcast.
I was like, hold on for a second. But no, but really though, Taylor, if you were to think about your top 3 values, what are those?
um, I'd probably say loyalty is a big one for me. I think that counts as a value. Um, they have to be caring. Like I love to be around. Like my friends are my rock.
Taylor. Can we go back a little bit?
Yes,
You
let's
just
go.
you just you just committed a little error, my friend. And this is often what people say. I'll say, "What are your values?" And then do you hear what you just said? You just said they have to be. You heard
Okay.
that?
God, I was doing so well.
You were doing so. What are your values? What are the things that
Okay.
you value most? Loyalty. What else?
Loyalty, family, and I think honesty.
Okay.
Like as long as I pride myself on, especially when I'm doing these kind of like these chats, and I've had previous guests on the podcast who have just felt so comfortable talking to me, and I'm not doing anything special. I'm literally just sat here being myself. And I think if I that's important to me, because I don't think I find it incredibly sad, because I've got friends and I see it like on social media and stuff, that people are trying to be people that they're not. And it's quite sad because I know the real person, and that's what makes that person special. And it's quite sad because it's broke down friendships, especially the past few years, because just like it doesn't fit with my values. Going
Right.
back to so I think that just being honest is very important to me.
And I would imagine hearing you, right? And actually not just now, but in everything that we've been talking about is authenticity obviously is one for you.
Yes.
Helping others is big for you. I can see creativity is also big for you, right? So you want to begin to identify what are all of those values, and then look for groups and organizations that embody those values. So, for example, in New York, think about everything that we just said, right? If you got into a volunteer group that went, and maybe as a part of the volunteer group, what they do is, and literally there are groups like this in New York because of so many, all the people that live there, is there are groups that like literally get together, could be like 8 of them, and they go do home checks to like, they go literally knock
Yeah.
on a door just to check, is everything okay, right? The building manager said, um, you know, that they haven't heard anything from you in the last 10 days. We're just checking to make sure everything's okay. Do you need anything? Blah, 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 blah. Right. The 8 of you all that are out there doing that on a Saturday for just 3 hours, I guarantee you that's going to become your crew. Right. That's because
Okay.
you all share the same values. You guys are all going to all go out, and guys and gals, right? But you all are going to go out and, hang out and eat together and go do activities. So the idea is you identify your values and then look for organizations that embody those values, and then go participate. And the beauty of doing that is not only does that become a social circle for you, but that becomes a gateway to new opportunities for you, because people who share your values, they look at life as you look at life.
Yeah.
This is very important, because someone who has different values than you, that means they'll do things that you may think are immoral or not even ethical. You know what I mean? So you want to be down with people who share your values, and you want to connect with people who share your values, because that's going to create opportunities that fall within your values. So if you follow that, I feel confident that you'll do quite well with connecting with new friends.
Again, I'm going to listen to this back and write every single word of this down. You're an
Cool.
absolute legend. I feel like I'm having some kind of like counseling session, which is not what I brought you on here to do. So I apologize for
No,
that.
Taylor, this is something I think I need to work on, because everyone says, Paul, when I talk to you, I feel like I'm in a counseling session. I don't want to turn into this guy that everyone feels like I'm just counseling
Hi, Paul, me
everybody.
again. Having a bit of a wobble.
I'm in New York. I knew I should have moved to Brooklyn. I'm stuck here in the financial.
Waffles are trash.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, wow. Too bad. Okay, well, that leads me on to my next question. You are very famous here in the UK now for being on one of the biggest TV shows, Celebs Go Dating. I absolutely love it. I love seeing awkward people go on dates purely because I'm that
Yeah.
awkward person who goes on dates. What do you think, like with the whole kind of COVID thing, what do you think dating is going to look like? Well, I know we're coming out of like the other side of it now. Like, what do you think it is going to look like?
Yeah. Oh man, it's going to be massively different. Um, I just spoke at the Aspen Institute in the UK about my predictions on the future of dating. And what's interesting, or at least what I find interesting, I said it, so maybe nobody finds it interesting,
Put
is
yourself down like
I-
that.
you won't find this interesting at all. Is that the pandemic will have a large impact on dating, but it won't have the largest impact. The largest impact, in my opinion, on dating is actually Facebook, the Match Group, and Bumble. And the reason why I say that is you have Facebook, a nearly $1 trillion company. You have the
Wow.
Match Group that owns Match.com, Tinder, Hinge, right? Or you name it, a $50 billion company. And then you have Bumble, just went public, right? So it depends on where they're trading today, but like 20, $25 billion company. But bottom line is, collectively, these companies are worth over $1 trillion. So you think, why does Facebook get into dating? How is Match a $50 billion
Yeah.
company? How does Bumble become so successful? They only become successful because they're in the business of dating. Now, think about this. If you are a dating app, right, and you make your money off of people using your app, Do
You'd
you
want them to
want
be
more
single.
people to use your app or less people? You want more people, right? Do you want people to use your app for a shorter period of time or a longer period of time? A longer period of time, right? Right. So what these entities need to do for their survival of their businesses and their profitability is they need to build tools to keep you on their system longer and to keep you using their system longer. They reach hundreds of millions of people in the dating pool. So in other words, the pandemic has impact. Yes, it's going to make us more socially awkward. It's going to, make us, understand our values a little bit more. Like it has good and bad, but the largest impact, hands down, is coming from Facebook, Match Group, and Bumble. They will shape how we date in the future.
You know what? I was genuinely worried when you were like, you might not find this interesting. I thought, oh God, here we go. But that is actually really true. Because it is that kind of, it's a cycle, isn't it? I mean, I know there's like people out there that will definitely agree with me. Like you kind of download it, you have a little bit of an ego boost, you kind of forget about it, then you kind of go back to it thinking, oh yeah, I need a little bit of more of an ego boost. I have no intention of like potentially like meeting these people or, like long term. I mean, I shouldn't say that because, I do, that's what you use them for. But because of how easy access they are, like these apps, and how quick they are to use, it's quite toxic. Now you're saying it like that.
I mean, it's scary because we're just at the beginning of this. Wait until they really integrate AI, until
Yeah.
they really start integrating virtual reality, until they really start, integrating, what's fascinating. So Taylor, do you have Oculus? Or you
No, don't
familiar with
think so.
this? So Oculus, so Facebook bought Oculus a couple of years back. It's like it's a virtual reality device. You put it
Okay.
on. So my boys who are 7 and 10, they're infatuated with virtual reality, right? And virtual reality is the wave. That's what's coming,
Yeah.
next, right? So you think about this. Literally within the next 3 years, you will be able to put the device on, right? You'll be able to sit in your bedroom and you'll be able to go on a date, a virtual date that feels real.
Oh.
And not to get freaky, but you add sex toys and all that, like it could really feel real, if you know what I mean.
I don't know how I feel about that.
But think about this. You could sit down, never leave, and go on 2, 3, 4 dates. Never leave. Now, right now, you're like, I don't know if I would do that. But you could see lots of people doing that.
We'll give it a go. I don't want to rule it out straight away. Times are hard, Paul.
Oh, see how easy that was?
No, God.
But just
drive so hard.
See, so just think. That's why Facebook's in dating, because they know what's coming. They know that they're going to have hundreds of millions of people who will never leave their flat, but they can put them on as many dates as they want, right? So it's wild, man. Where the future is
It's a
is
business, isn't it?
It's
It's a business.
It's a business. That's it. It's about making money. That's all they're trying to do.
I feel quite violated now.
But you should feel violated, like for real. You should, because that's what they're doing. It's what's so dangerous about it is their social networks. They use the network effect, which all the network effect means is that when you add another person onto the network becomes stronger. So their goal is to add as many people onto the network as possible, and for you to feel the strength of that network because there's so many people on it. And so therefore you don't even want to unplug from it, right? You feel connected to it. It's scary. It is incredibly
it's like real,
scary.
like the Matrix, but in like real life.
Man, I'm gonna tell you this, when you go to Silicon Valley, because I'm sure you'll visit it, right, in California, the one thing that will blow your mind, a lot of people don't realize this, is so Silicon Valley is where all these big tech companies, Facebook, Google, right?
Yeah.
the children of these engineers and executives from Silicon Valley, they go to schools where most of the schools don't even allow computers in the schools.
Wow.
Now you think about that. How in the world, a lot of people don't talk about this. Elon Musk within Tesla and SpaceX, he's created a school for some of the kids who
Yeah.
are the employees of the company. And in that school, they don't have computers. So you think, what? You work on computers all day, you build these systems, and you're not putting your child on this, but you're putting us on this?
Yeah. Why?
Why do you think? It's not healthy. You know what I mean? It's not
Not only
healthy.
that, but I feel like some of the most intelligent people were so intelligent without even a calculator.
Mm-hmm.
So especially when it comes to like maths and stuff like that. But like now, oh God, that's power. That's spun my head a little bit. That has.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you research it, it goes down deep. I mean, it is ultimately what I always look at is, I mean, I remember as a little boy saying, "I'm not going to a dentist with bad teeth." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the whole point there was, I want to go to a dentist who practices what he or she preaches,
Yeah.
right? So if the dentist is going to give me something that the dentist won't use, especially if the dentist won't give that to his or her child, I feel freaked out about that. You know what I mean? I feel some
Yeah.
way about that. And so we have to really think about this when it comes to, in particular, social media. Why is it that head engineers at Google won't even allow their children to use social media? Like, think about that. That's scary.
I feel like this is like teetering on to like conspiracy things a little bit now.
How did we
I
get
would,
here?
well, you've done this.
Oh my God.
You damn well how we got here.
Oh my gosh.
I've got a bit of a desperational plea here for
Okay.
you. So obviously you come very highly recommended by my good friend Oprah. We go way back, with the whole matchmaking scene.
Yes.
I fell into a little bit of trap where I was using a particular chat up line. I've just ruined it there. But I want you to kind of rate it. And then afterwards, obviously I'm going over to New York. I'm 31. I'm, single. I'm in that process. Like I want to meet someone now. Like I want to settle down. I've always imagined myself having like an American wife, which is really weird considering what's happening now. So I thought if I tell you my line that I've been using, maybe tell me where I'm going wrong and then give me a little bit of advice.
Sounds great. Sounds great. I can't wait.
So this is quite embarrassing,
Okay.
but I used to, using these apps or on Instagram, I used to throw out the line saying, hey, and then it would be like a picture of a lime. And then they'd come back with, what's that? I'd be like, oh, it's my chat up lime, right? What's embarrassing is it never worked, by the way. But what I got back was it wasn't even a lime I was sending. It was like a cantaloupe or a melon.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. That's there's like bad, then underneath bad is terrible, and then underneath terrible is just like sad. That's
I will
underneath.
take that.
No, I tell you, man, this is a big question that a lot of people ask. Like, I'm talking about a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I will actually I'll bring this back to Celebs Go Dating. So someone once asked me, they said, there's been, like, I don't know, Paul, you've been on for whatever 6 series, there's 100 celebs that has come through the agency. Who has been the best flirter? Like, who is the best flirt skills that you've ever seen? And I said, quite honestly, there's one celeb who not only has the best flirt skills among all of the celebs, but among everyone I've ever worked with in the
Oh,
world.
wow.
I give this person top 1, 2, or 3, right? And I've been around some, dons,
Yeah.
some real PIMPs out here, you know what I mean? And that person though with the best flirt skills was Pete Wicks.
Oh, he's
Um,
just like he's just smooth. Like it doesn't even like he puts any kind of effort into it.
so you just basically explain the reason why he's the best at what
Yeah.
what he does. So the first part of flirting is to be confident, right? All confidence really means is to show up as your authentic self.
Yeah.
What most people try to do is they try to up certain things about them, minimize other things about them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like Pete's boy, one of his besties, Lockie, who I love, that's my man. When he goes into a room, he quite honestly, he's not a very loud guy, inside,
Yeah.
but he's an alpha male. So when he walks into a room, he elevates his voice, he elevates his animation, he elevates his hands, right? His arms. But I'm like, yo, that's not you.
Yeah.
He's actually got a very intellectual side about him, and he would be upset if I said this, but I think he even has like feminine energy as well. Like
Yeah.
he's well-rounded, but he elevates a certain part of him, right? But Pete doesn't elevate anything. He doesn't diminish anything. He just comes in as him. He doesn't, a lot, almost everybody does this. You see them before, like, even while we're filming, you'll see them waiting outside of the agency right before they're about to come in.
Yeah.
And they know as soon as they walk in, they're on camera. So they're fixing their jacket, they're tilting their hat, they're with their sunglasses, they're patting down the grease off their face, like whatever it may be, so that they can come in and look the part. Pete doesn't do any of that. That man will walk right in off the street, just like he's been. He might not even have gone to sleep the night before, like for real. But he comes in and he doesn't change who he is. That seems to be super small, but it is significant, right?
Okay.
The next part is this, and this connects to that line that you gave, right? The very
The
sad line,
lime.
but yeah, the
The
line.
melon.
The melon, the watermelon, the apple. You said an apple is the best line or lime. The best line is no line. The best line is to authentically say, what is the reason why I'm talking to you? What is the reason why I walked over to you? What's the reason why I'm sending you this message? What's the real reason? What's the
Yeah.
real reason? Is it because they look a certain way? They remind you of someone or something because we're excited about, somewhere that they visited, because of the shoes that they have on? Like, what's the real reason? Most of us don't want to do that, right? Because of fear. But the point, and I'll just give 3 things right here. So the second is what's the real reason? Pete will walk up to you and he'll give you the real.
Yeah.
You are the sexiest woman in here. That's why I walked up to you, right? And she's like, and he's being authentically him, right? Or he may walk up and just say, wow, like, because he's into fashion, he may say, wow, like the trainers, those are new. Where do you get those trainers? Like, he genuinely approaches, right?
Yeah.
That's the second. The last is this. The last is that what holds people back, what keeps people fidgety, what keeps people not being confident, what makes people lie about their lime is fear of rejection.
Yeah.
People who are fearful, you could smell them a mile away, especially to people who are very confident, right? It's very easy to spot somebody who's fearful. Even based on where they stand in a room, I could tell you who's the most fearful person. You know what I mean? This guy, Pete, he doesn't fear rejection. A matter of fact, I think like he's got this thing going on in his mind where he actually wants to get rejected. You know what I mean? He's like, reject me. I want somebody to reject me. So because of that,
I have the same thing. Please reject me. I'm tired. I'm tired. Reject me.
I just did it. So that, I think those are three things that guy has that makes him magical on the approach, man. Magical on the approach.
What a guy.
The science of, I just gave you a Pete Wicks case study to flirting.
I will take that. I'm Joe. I'm gonna cut this bit out and just keep it for myself. I don't need everyone else hearing this.
That's right. That's right. Those are the secrets. Those are the keys right there.
Mate, honestly, I cannot thank you enough for joining me for a waffle. It has been an absolute pleasure. Like, you have genuinely taught me something today, and like I said, you were one of the first that when I started and I was like throwing names around, and especially when my confidence started growing, I was like, okay, who's speaking like on the level that I want to talk on. So, the fact that you're here sat in front of me today is just insane for me. So thank you so much for your time.
No, man, the honor is mine. And I'll tell you, because I try to be, as authentic, as possible. One is I'm appreciative of your journey, because I think it's powerful. Like, I really think the fact that you created this platform, you're helping so many people because of the platform, you're now going to New York. It's going to open up a whole new chapter in your life. Then that's going to open up new chapters. Like, just seeing that, I'm proud of you. That's one.
Oh, thank you.
Secondly is now we're connected now. The way that I feel is that once I connect with, one of the big reasons why I like to do these podcasts is I just like to connect. I like people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I like people. So now we're connected. If you need something in New York, if something crazy happens, I know some people who will take care of business for you. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's midnight. I'm stuck in Harlem right now. I need some help. Hey, I can still help you, right? So, but really, if there's ever anything that I could do to help with, in New York, don't hesitate to reach out. And then the third thing, man, is just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep going. Keep going.
I don't even want to, I'm a little bit lost for words with that, but I massively appreciate that. Like, never in a million years did I expect to kind of be sat here in front of you and even all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I appreciate that so much. It means a lot. So thank you.
Definitely. You are welcome. You're welcome. No more limes, okay?
Just no more limes or melons. I'm just going to avoid. I'm still going to have my 5 a day, but everything else, no.
Cool.